Hi, I got wonderful news for you. Despia is now finally available for all Android devices. So that means you can now have the app that you already built inside of Toddle, inside of Whist, inside of any web app technology be deployed with all native Android functionalities as an Android app, as an APK, and you'll be able to upload that on the Play Store or distribute it just as an APK directly if you want to go around some of the fees that you have on the Play Store. Because the nice thing about Despia is it gives you all the files that you need for your APK. That means you can have people download that APK either through the Play Store, the official source, which they will take 15% on everything you sell in it. That is SaaS. If you sell products or services like Fiverr or like Amazon, they won't take a cut. You can use Stripe with that, and Despia automatically has, it's set up that way that Stripe works natively in it without triggering that Apple gets a commission. Don't tell Apple or don't tell Google. But the thing is, if you sell SaaS, you have to go through their payment processing, otherwise they'll shut down your app. Now, with Android, you can go around that. You can distribute just the APK, say click here, download the app. They'll download the APK. They have a native Android app with your app without going through the publishing process on the app on the Play Store. That is also a possibility for Android users. But, maybe you want to have it on the Android store, then you would just upload that APK to the Play Store. But the nice thing about Android is you can go outside of the store and you can go inside of the store. And you can maybe have it one there and one there, or make your own store. That's the cool thing. You could technically make an app that is downloading APKs. So you kind of can even build your own app store for Android instead of Despia downloading other apps that you build inside of Despia. So it's pretty cool, but let me show you how simple that is. So inside of here, I have an app set up, a pretty simple example site here, and I just click on Export Android Project. Now it will take up to 20 seconds, and it's going to build that Android source file now. It's a bunch of files in there, and it's going to configure everything for you based on the settings that you have put in on the site. And all this logic that you see on this side here is the thing, that gets interpreted by the Despia framework. So now if I look at here, you see I just downloaded the Android file. So let's move the zip file in here. I double click on it. And now here's the thing, we need Android Studio to open it, to kind of preview what Despia built. We'll also now work on one-click publish to the Android store, but maybe you want to go around that or whatever. And that is kind of the process you would do with this. So very important, if you have multiple Despia apps, you want to rename this folder so it is Despia Android minus and then my app, and then you just put your app name in here so you know which app this is. Very important. You maybe also want to do then the version V1 or V2 or whatever, so you just keep track of things, because you need to have a unique name if you open this in Android Studio, because Android Studio doesn't work like Xcode where whenever you upload a new file it just creates a new project. It tries to open an existing project with the same file name if you're not careful. But now let's just open Android Studio. And where do we have it? Here. Oh, what did I do? Let's go here. Let's open Android Studio. Now we got Android Studio in here. I'm just going to drag that file inside of here. Now it's going to say trust this project. You trust that project. And now it's going to set up everything. And now you see it says error, 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 because it's still downloading all the files and it's still compiling everything together. You just let this sit for a few seconds. It'll build everything that needs to be built. It'll resolve all the things. And here you go. Now you got your Android app with all the source files and everything, that you need. It's a bunch of things inside of here. And you got your Android app. And now you may want to test this on an Android device. So you just click on build in here. And now it's going to build your Android app on an emulator. So now you can see I have an emulator, I have a Google Pixel phone that I'll be able, and actually it's an old Pixel phone. You want to make sure that you always use the newest Pixel phone, but you see you got the splash screen, the app is loading, and we'll have the app inside of here. Now, one thing I want to tell you though with Android is, if you have an Android device with a notch, So the way Android does it, they count the screen from the start of the screen to the end of the screen, even if the device has a notch, which can result in issues like this. You see it right here. Now, Apple counts it differently. Apple counts it from under the notch to the end. So we need to have a way to identify now in our web application, is it an Android device? Is it an iOS device? And Despia has a wonderful, easy way of doing that. So let's actually go to Toddle.dev and let's go to the project that I have set up in here so I can show you how you can have that make sure that it always looks nice, because Android handles those notch things not nicely. But that's just like an Android thing, and I do hope that they resolve those things. But every Android, like with Apple, every iPhone is the same. With Android, there are thousands of manufacturers, and there are no clear guidelines on how those things need to be calculated. So they just count from top to bottom. They don't calculate in the notch. But Despia has a simple way of solving that. And let's first, before we solve it, let me just actually explain why it can be solved. Let's add a text inside of here, right? And I go in this text and I add an fx on that text, and I add a user agent, and we get the user agent. Now in here I'm getting this kind of user agent because it is in the browser. Now if I build this Despia app again, and we'll look at what the user agent is saying inside of this app now, because we're looking for the user agent, we will see the user agent is Despia Android, as you can see right inside of here. So now we have this user agent. That is very simple what we're doing now. We just go on this div here and we create a new class for Android. We'll call this Android. And we create a new style for Android. And this style will have in here a layout, a top padding of 4.5 rem. Oh, actually, then I would need to update this also. So this is Android. How's this built? We have this. Where's this? We got this nav inside of here. Okay. I would actually build this differently. AI built this, so I would actually make this relative, and then make this. Let's make this flex here, and we want to take this. I want to remove that inside of here. We make this 100% width. So let's see. So now we have Android and we have it without Android. So without Android it's like this, and with Android it's like this. It adds 4 rem in here. So then we take this Android class and we make this, we take the user agent and we do equals Despia minus Android. Android. Despia Android. Here you go. So we got Despia Android. Now this is not on Android, so we won't see it like this. So now if I rebuild this app real quick inside of Android Studio, we'll see that we will have now enough space to account for the notches, you can see. And we have a little bit too much, so we can just make this a little bit less. So we'll go on the Android class, and we may want to make that 3.5 rem, right? And we just rebuild this, and we'll look how this looks. Now, inside of Android Studio, that's the nice thing. You just have a seamless experience here. Actually, I think we can give it a little bit more. Actually, also, why you ask yourself why this is cut off, because we're using like an old pixel simulator here. I could just also really quick kill the simulator. And let's see, let's make sure we kill. It's shutting it down. Because you always want to make sure you kind of like test it in the newest version of the simulator, and you always have a new version of Android Studio. But we can just create a new simulator, create a new virtual device, and I'll take the Pixel 9 Pro, the latest one. And now I'm going to install the Pixel 9 Pro so I can test it on the latest Android device, the latest flagship Android device, ideally the one created by Google. And now we'll have that available. So now when I build this again inside of here, I'll be able to run this on the Pixel 9 Pro. It's going to have that emulator. You see, we've got the Google phone here. Beautiful. And now we'll be able to test this also inside of that pixel, the newer one. Here you go. Now we'll open that app. See, we got our little GIF here on the splash screen. Now it wants to allow notifications. Let's make sure to open that. It's out of here. Beautiful. So yeah, I do think it looks good. We could give it a little bit less space. We'll see. Let's make an experiment here. Let's take that Android. Let's make that 3.25 RAM. And I then think that's perfect. Let's just rebuild this. And that's kind of like how you do those things with Android. Because again, Android with iOS generally, and you see this because this is like Android counts your app, your mobile app to be from this part of the screen to this part of the screen. And iOS counts your screen from here to here. So just because they count the screen differently, we can just use the user agent to kind of like, account for that. Then also, you always want to make sure that the lower part has a little bit space, generally on all devices. So we want to make this maybe 2 RAM because they now all have those swipe up things. And then, we just rerun this and we can just check how this looks on that emulator device. And then we'll be also able to download that APK and test that on our Android device if we have one. But now you see it looks beautiful. We got that all in here. And now we have our mobile app. And as you can see, we have access to all native functionalities inside of here. Beautiful. So now we got that. Now we like it. Now we can just simply go on build. And if we want to get this on the App Store, where do we go? We would do generate signed app bundle /APK. And then I would say create an APK. And then you would create a key store path. You would kind of like create a key store path. You would say create a new one. And you need to save this very importantly, because if you don't have this key store path anymore, you won't be able to update your app. So you need to make sure that you save this on a hard drive, or maybe, save that file. And then you would click OK, and then you would just build your app, and then that is the app you can put on the App Store. But if you want to test this on your own device, you can also just go on build, and you say build app bundle APK, and then you say build APKs. And then now it's going to actually start the build process where it will build the APK, and that is basically the file that you need to publish it. And then you just click on locate here, and you get your APK. And now inside of here, that is your app. That is your app. You have your APK, and you can test with that. And then, you want to make sure that you have a signed APK if you want to go through the official Google App Store. So that is how simple now Despia for Android works, and you can test it out. And yeah, if you go to Despia.com, you'll be able to create your account for free and start testing around. And then we also have a discount till the end of the year for only $199 for the Android version for one app lifetime. There are no monthly fees attached to that, and it covers one of your Despia apps. And then if you want Android and iOS, it's like about $400, which is, I think, pretty much the cheapest in the industry. If you look at the competitors, most of them are $200 a month and $800 one time. One competitor charges for the same things $37,000 also. And we are at $400 till December 31st. So I do think that we have the best pricing. And there are other options too, but quality is what makes the difference. And the fact that we have those things where we can look for the user agent and we can make this experience custom directly inside of Toddle, that is really, I think, what will make Despia, or what makes Despia the best way how you can build mobile apps using web technology, because it gives you that flexibility to really have a custom experience. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.